Hello, dear seeker. Have you ever noticed that the first moments after you wake up quietly determine the direction of your entire day? Before a single conversation begins, before you step outside, and before the demands of the world ask for your attention, your mind has already started creating the emotional atmosphere in which you will live for the next several hours. For many of us, mornings begin with urgency. An alarm rings, we reach for our phones, and within seconds our minds are flooded with messages, news, social media, unfinished tasks, and endless comparisons. Without realizing it, we allow the outside world to shape our inner world before we have even taken one conscious breath. As the hours pass, stress feels normal, and patience grows, and we wonder why genuine peace seems so difficult to find. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha observed this same restless nature of the human mind. He taught that lasting happiness is not found by controlling every external circumstance, but by learning to understand and train the mind itself. According to the Buddha, every sunrise is more than the beginning of another day. It is a precious opportunity to begin again with awareness, wisdom, and compassion. Imagine planting a seed every morning. If that seed is fear, your day will gradually grow into anxiety. If it is anger, conflict often follows. But if the seed is mindfulness, gratitude, and kindness, those qualities slowly blossom into a peaceful and meaningful life. The Dhammapada reminds us that our experiences are shaped by the quality of our thoughts, making the first moments of the day especially important. In this video, I invite you to walk with me through 7 powerful morning habits inspired by Buddhist wisdom. These are not complicated rituals or strict religious practices. They are timeless principles that anyone can apply, regardless of their beliefs or background. If practiced consistently, they can help you cultivate greater clarity, emotional balance, inner strength, and lasting peace. So, take a slow, gentle breath, set aside the distractions of the outside world for a little while, and let us begin this journey together, one mindful morning at a time. The Buddha often taught that the quality of our life depends upon the quality of our awareness. Long before we speak our first words or take our first step, our mind has already begun shaping the day ahead. This is why the first few moments after waking are so valuable. They are like fresh snow, untouched, quiet, and full of possibility. Whatever footprints we leave there will influence the path we walk for the rest of the day. Yet most people begin their mornings in exactly the opposite way. An alarm suddenly interrupts their sleep. Before their eyes have fully opened, they reach for their phone. Within moments, they are reading emails, checking social media, responding to messages, or worrying about everything that awaits them. Their body may have just awakened, but their mind is already running a marathon. The Buddha recognized this restless tendency of the mind over 2,500 years ago. In the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, often called the Discourse on the Foundations of Mindfulness, he taught that true transformation begins with simply becoming aware of the present moment. Before changing the world around us, we must first learn to observe the world within us. Imagine waking tomorrow without rushing. Instead of immediately standing up, remain still for just 1 minute. Notice the natural rhythm of your breathing. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Become aware of the weight of your body resting on the bed. Listen to the sounds around you without judging them. Perhaps you hear birds singing, the soft hum of a fan, distant traffic, or simply the silence of the early morning. Now notice your thoughts. Perhaps your mind says, "I have so much to do today." Maybe it begins replaying yesterday's mistakes or worrying about tomorrow's problems. Don't fight these thoughts. Don't follow them either. Simply observe them, just as you would watch clouds drifting across the sky. The Buddha taught that thoughts are not the self. They arise, remain for a time, and then pass away. When we stop identifying with every thought, we begin to experience a deeper sense of freedom. This simple practice may seem insignificant, but it is profoundly powerful. Modern life trains us to react automatically, while Buddhist practice trains us to respond consciously. Awareness creates a small but important space between what happens and how we choose to respond. In that space lies wisdom. The Buddha compared an untrained mind to a wild elephant, powerful but difficult to control. A frightened elephant can cause great destruction, just as an untrained mind can create unnecessary suffering through fear, anger, or attachment. But a well-trained elephant becomes calm, dependable, and immensely helpful. In the same way, each mindful morning gently trains the mind to become steadier and more peaceful. This doesn't require hours of meditation or a perfect morning routine. Even 60 seconds of conscious awareness can begin changing the direction of your day. With consistent practice, you may notice that you become less reactive to stress, more patient with others, and more present in ordinary moments. Before leaving your bed tomorrow morning, pause for one mindful minute. Don't reach for your phone. Don't rush toward your responsibilities. Instead, greet the new day with awareness. Because according to Buddhist wisdom, peace does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins the very moment we become fully present. One of the deepest insights the Buddha offered is that much of our suffering does not come from what we have, but from constantly believing that what we have is not enough. This endless longing is known in Buddhism as ta, or craving, the persistent desire for more possessions, more success, more recognition, or a different reality than the one before us. Without realizing it, many of us begin feeding this craving the moment we wake up. We open our eyes and immediately think about everything that needs to be done. We worry about unpaid bills, unfinished work, goals we haven't reached, or the lives of others that seem happier than our own. Imagine that every morning, before you have spoken a single word, you invite hundreds of strangers into your home. Some arrive carrying fear. Others bring anger, gossip, anxiety, comparison, or endless opinions. They speak over one another until your once peaceful house becomes noisy and chaotic. Most of us would never allow this to happen. Yet, in another way, many of us do exactly this every single morning. The moment we wake up, we unlock our phones. Within seconds, our minds are flooded with breaking news, social media updates, advertisements, emails, videos, messages, and opinions from people we have never met. Before we have had the chance to listen to our own thoughts, the voices of the world are already speaking inside our minds. The Buddha understood a timeless truth: whatever repeatedly enters the mind eventually shapes the mind. Although smartphones did not exist in ancient India, the principle remains exactly the same today. In the Anguttara Nikāya, the Buddha emphasized the importance of wise attention, known as Yoniso Manasikara. Wise attention means carefully choosing what deserves our mental energy, and gently turning away from what leads to confusion, craving, or suffering. Our attention is one of the most valuable resources we possess. Where attention goes, the mind follows. And where the mind repeatedly goes, our character is gradually formed. Think of your mind as a clear lake at sunrise. The water is naturally calm, allowing you to see all the way to the bottom. But if stones are constantly thrown into the lake, the surface becomes disturbed, and the water turns cloudy. It is no longer possible to see clearly. Our thoughts work in exactly the same way. When we begin the day consuming fear-filled headlines, endless comparisons on social media, or emotionally charged content, our inner lake becomes disturbed before the day has even begun. Decisions become impulsive. Patience becomes harder. Small problems begin to feel overwhelming. The Buddha encouraged his disciples to protect the mind with the same care that a wise farmer protects fertile land. A farmer would never knowingly scatter poisonous seeds into healthy soil and expect a good harvest months later. Likewise, if we constantly plant seeds of fear, anger, jealousy, and distraction, we should not be surprised when those emotions begin growing within us. This is why your first 20 or 30 minutes after waking are incredibly important. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone, try giving yourself the gift of silence. Open a window and breathe the cool morning air. Listen to the birds instead of notifications. Watch the sunrise instead of scrolling through endless posts. Read a few pages from the Dhammapada, a spiritual book, or any writing that encourages wisdom and compassion. Spend a few moments in meditation or quiet reflection. Drink your tea or coffee slowly, noticing its warmth, aroma, and taste. These simple actions may seem small, but they establish an inner foundation that remains with you throughout the day. Many people believe discipline means forcing ourselves to work harder. The Buddha offered a deeper understanding. True discipline begins with protecting the conditions that allow wisdom to grow. Every choice you make about what enters your mind is also a choice about the person you are becoming. If you repeatedly feed your mind distraction, it becomes restless. If you repeatedly feed it comparison, it becomes dissatisfied. If you repeatedly feed it fear, it becomes anxious. But if you nourish it with mindfulness, compassion, wisdom, and silence, those qualities gradually become your natural state. Remember, guarding your mind does not mean avoiding the world or pretending that difficulties do not exist. Buddhism does not teach escape from reality. Instead, it teaches us to meet reality with a clear, stable, and undisturbed mind. There is an old Buddhist saying that reminds us, "You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." In the same way, you cannot control every piece of information that exists in the world, but you can choose when and how you allow it to enter your awareness. So tomorrow morning, before the world asks for your attention, offer your attention to your own mind. Protect your peace before protecting your schedule. Guard your awareness before opening your notifications. Because once the mind is disturbed, peace is difficult to recover. But when the mind is cared for from the very beginning of the day, it becomes a quiet refuge, one that no amount of external noise can easily shake. If there is one practice that lies at the very heart of the Buddha's teaching, it is meditation. Many people hear the word meditation and immediately imagine sitting cross-legged for hours, trying to empty the mind completely. Others believe it is something reserved for monks living in remote monasteries. Because of these misunderstandings, they assume meditation is too difficult or simply not meant for ordinary people. But the Buddha taught something far more accessible. Meditation is not about escaping from life. It is about learning to experience life with greater clarity. The Buddha never promised that we could eliminate every challenge, disappointment, or painful emotion. Illness, loss, uncertainty, and change are natural parts of human existence. What he offered instead was a path that frees us from unnecessary suffering, the suffering created when we cling to our thoughts, resist reality, or allow our emotions to control us without awareness. Imagine holding a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking the glass, the water remains cloudy. No matter how hard you try to see through it, everything appears blurred and distorted. But if you simply place the glass on a table and allow it to remain still, something remarkable happens. The mud slowly settles. The water becomes clear, not because you forced it to become clear, but because you stopped disturbing it. The mind works in exactly the same way. Most of us spend every day constantly shaking the mind with endless thinking, worrying, planning, remembering, comparing, and reacting. Then we wonder why we cannot think clearly or feel peaceful. Meditation is the simple practice of allowing the mind to settle. In the Ānāpānasati Sutta, the Buddha taught mindfulness of breathing as one of the most direct paths to cultivating awareness. Breathing is always with us. It requires no special equipment, no perfect environment, and no previous experience. It is a quiet anchor that gently brings the wandering mind back to the present moment. Tomorrow morning, before the demands of the day begin, find a comfortable place to sit. Keep your back naturally straight but relaxed. Allow your hands to rest gently on your lap. Close your eyes softly, or lower your gaze. Now bring your full attention to your breathing. Notice the cool air as it enters your nose. Feel your chest gently rise. Observe the warm breath as it leaves your body. There is nothing you need to change, nothing you need to control. Simply observe. Within seconds, your mind will probably wander. Perhaps you'll remember an unfinished task. Perhaps you'll begin planning your day. Maybe an old memory or worry suddenly appears. This is completely natural. Many beginners believe that wandering thoughts mean they are failing. The Buddha would say otherwise. The moment you notice your mind has wandered is actually a moment of mindfulness. That moment is success. Each time you gently guide your attention back to the breath without frustration or self-judgment, you are strengthening the mind, just as lifting a weight strengthens a muscle. Meditation is not about never becoming distracted. It is about returning, patiently and compassionately, again and again. The Buddha compared the untrained mind to a wild elephant roaming freely through the forest. Such an elephant is immensely powerful, but without guidance it can destroy everything in its path. However, when patiently trained with kindness and consistency, the same elephant becomes calm, dependable, and capable of great service. Our minds are much the same. An untrained mind is easily pulled by fear, anger, desire, and anxiety. A trained mind remains steady even when life becomes uncertain. This steadiness is one of the greatest gifts meditation offers. Scientific research today supports what Buddhist practitioners have experienced for centuries. Regular meditation has been associated with reduced stress, improved emotional regulation, greater focus, and increased compassion. While the Buddha did not teach meditation to improve productivity or reduce anxiety alone, these benefits naturally arise when the mind becomes calmer and more aware. But perhaps the greatest transformation is subtler. As your meditation practice deepens, you begin to realize that you are not every thought that appears in your mind. Thoughts come. Thoughts go. Emotions arise. Emotions fade. Like clouds moving across a vast sky, they are temporary visitors, not your permanent identity. This insight creates an extraordinary sense of freedom. Instead of being carried away by every emotion, you learn to witness them with wisdom. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. Instead of living on autopilot, you begin living consciously. You don't need an hour each morning to experience these changes. Begin with just 10 minutes. If 10 feels difficult, begin with 5. Consistency matters far more than duration. A few minutes of daily practice will transform your mind more deeply than occasional hours of meditation followed by weeks of neglect. The Buddha often reminded his disciples that profound transformation happens gradually. Just as a river shapes solid rock not through force but through steady, continuous flow, meditation slowly reshapes the mind through gentle persistence. So tomorrow morning, before trying to master the world outside, spend a few quiet moments understanding the world within. Sit, breathe, observe, return, again and again. Because according to Buddhist wisdom, true peace is not found by escaping your thoughts. It is found by learning to watch them without becoming their prisoner. As we come to the final morning habit, the Buddha invites us to make one of the most profound shifts a human being can experience, a shift from asking, "What can I get from today?" to asking, "How can I bring a little less suffering into the world today?" Modern society often teaches us that success is measured by what we accumulate: more money, more recognition, more possessions, more followers, or more achievements. From a young age, we are encouraged to compete, compare, and constantly strive for more. The Buddha offered a different vision of a meaningful life. He taught that genuine happiness does not arise from endlessly taking from the world. It grows from learning to give. Not because giving makes us morally superior. Not because we expect something in return. But because generosity transforms the heart of the giver. In Buddhism, one of the most cherished virtues is dana, the practice of generosity. It is often described as the first perfection, or paramitha, because it opens the door to every other noble quality. When we learn to give freely, our time, our attention, our kindness, our patience, we begin loosening the grip of attachment and self-centeredness. Think about how most people begin their mornings. They are already thinking about their own responsibilities. My meetings, my deadlines, my problems, my stress, my goals. There is nothing wrong with caring for your own life. The Buddha never taught self-neglect. But when our attention remains focused only on ourselves, the mind naturally becomes smaller. Every inconvenience feels enormous because it revolves around me and mine. Compassion gently breaks this illusion. It reminds us that every person we meet is carrying invisible burdens. The person serving your morning tea may be worrying about a sick parent. The colleague who seems impatient may have spent the entire night caring for a newborn child. The stranger who appears unfriendly may be fighting a battle you will never know. The Buddha often encouraged his disciples to look beyond appearances and recognize our shared humanity. Every human being longs for happiness. Every human being wishes to avoid suffering. When we truly understand this, our hearts naturally become softer. This is where the morning habit begins. Before leaving your home each day, make one simple commitment. Today, I will consciously reduce someone's suffering, even in a small way. Notice that the Buddha never suggested that compassion must always involve extraordinary sacrifice. Sometimes the smallest actions carry the greatest impact. Offer a genuine smile to someone who looks discouraged. Listen without interrupting when someone needs to speak. Thank the security guard, the cleaner, or the delivery driver with sincere appreciation. Hold the door open for a stranger. Forgive a minor mistake instead of reacting with anger. Send a message of encouragement to a friend going through a difficult time. Share your knowledge with someone who is still learning. These actions may seem insignificant, but the Buddha understood that character is built through small, repeated choices. Imagine dropping a single pebble into a still pond. The pebble is tiny, yet the ripples travel far beyond the point where it entered the water. Kindness works the same way. A single compassionate action may brighten someone's entire day. That person may then treat another with greater patience. The kindness continues spreading in ways you may never witness. The Buddha reminded his followers that no wholesome action is ever wasted. Even when no one notices your generosity, your own heart is quietly changing. Each act of compassion weakens selfishness. Each act of generosity strengthens wisdom. Each act of service reminds us that we are deeply connected to one another. One of the Buddha's most beautiful teachings is metta, or loving kindness. In the Karaya Metta Sutta, practitioners are encouraged to cultivate a heart that wishes for the well-being of all living beings, without discrimination. Imagine beginning every morning by silently offering these wishes. May I be peaceful. May my family be healthy. May my colleagues find happiness. May even those who disagree with me be free from suffering. May all beings live in peace. These simple reflections gradually dissolve resentment, soften anger, and expand the heart beyond the narrow boundaries of self-interest. Over time, compassion becomes less of an effort and more of your natural way of being. Perhaps one of the greatest misconceptions about kindness is that it benefits only the person receiving it. The Buddha taught the opposite. When you cultivate compassion, the first heart that becomes peaceful is your own. Hatred requires constant energy to maintain. Resentment keeps the mind trapped in the past. Selfishness creates endless dissatisfaction because it can never be fully satisfied. But generosity lightens the mind. Forgiveness frees the heart. Compassion creates an inner peace that no possession can provide. This is why service is not separate from spiritual practice. It is spiritual practice. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to express wisdom through action. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to reduce suffering rather than increase it. Every morning becomes a chance to make the world, however slightly, more compassionate than it was yesterday. So as you begin tomorrow, carry this simple question with you. Whose burden can I lighten today? The answer does not need to be dramatic. One sincere act of kindness is enough. One patient conversation is enough. One moment of genuine compassion is enough. Because according to Buddhist wisdom, a meaningful life is not measured by how much we accumulate for ourselves. It is measured by how much peace, kindness, and hope we leave in the hearts of others. And sometimes, the smallest act of compassion at the beginning of the day becomes the brightest light in someone else's life. As we come to the end of this journey together, take a quiet moment to reflect on everything we've explored today. These 7 morning habits are not simply techniques to make your mornings more productive or your schedule more efficient. They are gentle practices that help cultivate a peaceful mind, an open heart, and a wiser way of living. They remind us that every sunrise is more than the start of another day. It is an invitation to begin again. The Buddha never taught that transformation happens in a single moment. He often compared spiritual growth to the gradual filling of a water jar, one drop at a time. A single drop may seem insignificant, but with patience and consistency, it eventually fills the entire vessel. In the same way, one mindful breath, one moment of gratitude, one act of kindness, or one morning of meditation may appear small. Yet when practiced every day, these simple actions slowly reshape our thoughts, our habits, and ultimately our lives. You do not need to master all 7 habits tomorrow. In fact, trying to change everything at once often leads to frustration. Instead, choose just one habit that spoke to your heart today. Practice it every morning for the next 7 days. Observe how it influences your thoughts, your emotions, and the way you respond to the people around you. The path of Buddhist wisdom is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming more aware, more compassionate, more patient, more fully present with each passing moment. There will be mornings when your mind feels calm, and there will be mornings when it feels restless. Some days you will remember your practice, and other days you may forget completely. This is not failure. The Buddha taught that every moment is an opportunity to begin again. What matters is not how many times you stumble, but how gently you return to the path with kindness toward yourself. Which of these 7 morning habits will you begin practicing tomorrow? Your experience may inspire someone else to take their very first step on this journey. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Until we meet again, may your mind be clear, your heart be filled with compassion, and your life be guided by wisdom. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. And may each new sunrise remind you that the greatest transformation begins, not somewhere far away, but within your own heart. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to walking this path with you again in the next video.